The saying, not all heroes wear capes, emphasizes that heroism is not limited to fictional characters in capes and costumes. This is a story of two medical scientists who displayed extreme resilience, passion, commitment, courage, and selflessness by conducting a series of innovative and daring experiments to discover H. pylori, now a well known bacteria that is known to cause several types of gastric problems. Indeed, they went on to win the Nobel Prize for their extraordinary discovery. This is a story you do not want to miss. It began in 1979. Dr. Robin Warren was a pathologist par excellence who observed tiny spiral bacteria in stomach biopsies of patients with gastritis. He wanted to show it to his colleagues but could not stain them. He tried several stains but they could not be visualized. So he decided to use a silver stain and succeeded. He could visualize H. pylori for the first time by using a silver stain called the Warden Starry stain. This is seen as black rods sitting on top of the surface of the stomach biopsy that you can see here in a microphotograph. He also found out that H. pylori are helical in shape. They live in the lower part of the stomach, which is called as the pyloric antrum, and cause gastritis, ulcers, and sometimes cancers. Now, this vicious bacteria can also punch holes in the mucosa of the stomach and sometimes even cause perforations. He took this information to his colleagues, but he was scoffed at. He was ridiculed. He was insulted by his own clinical colleagues because they were convinced that ulcers are caused by stress and no bacteria could survive in an acidic environment. He tried to tell them several times that there is a bacteria that can survive in acid, but of no avail. From 1979 to 1981, he continued working all by himself in his lab until he was joined by this young, enthusiastic, and extroverted gastroenterology intern called Dr. Barry Marshall. They joined hands and decided to work on the project of H. pylori. Now, his entry created a lot of difference to Dr. Warren and it also accelerated the process of discovery. Their next step was to grow H. pylori in culture media. They tried several culture media, but they could again not succeed because H. pylori refused to grow very easily. Typically, bacteria would grow within 48 to 72 hours, but with H. pylori, no bacterial growth was seen at the end of 72 hours. So they were desperate and they did not know what to do. That was a roadblock for them. Until, as luck would have it, and as they say, by a stroke of serendipity or a happy accident, they could grow H. pylori because of a long weekend when they went on an Easter holiday. The Easter weekend was long. They stayed, they took a vacation for 4 days. And when they came back, they found out that H. pylori had actually grown on the fourth or fifth day. And then they got to know that they could actually grow this bacteria. They were delighted because this was indeed a very landmark finding in their quest to discovering this elusive bacteria. They decided to publish this data instead of taking it to their peers, which they did in the very famous peer-reviewed journal called as the Lancet. This happened in 1984. Despite publishing it in the Lancet, their peers rejected their findings, calling it a hoax. Now, Dr. Barry Marshall was very impatient and very boisterous, and he decided that the only way left is to actually grow it in animals, cause gastritis, and show it to the world that this is indeed the organism that causes gastritis. So, with that idea, they started injecting these cultures in mice, in rabbits, in rats, and even guinea pigs. However, the bacteria refused to grow in these animals, as it was later discovered that H. pylori grows in no other animal except in human beings. And when Dr. Marshall got to know about this, he told Dr. Warren that the only way for us to prove is to drink the bacteria ourselves. Dr. Warren, needless to say, was horrified by this idea. But Dr. Barry Marshall said, I will do it. And much to the dismay of Dr. Warren, Dr. Barry Marshall went on to drink the bacteria from the culture tube in a very daring self-experiment, putting his own life at peril. Needless to say, he immediately fell sick with abdominal pain, bloating, vomiting, diarrhea, and foul-smelling flatus, much to the dismay of his wife. Ultimately, after suffering the agony for 8 to 10 days, he went to the hospital, got an endoscopy done, where his gastric secretions were removed and cultured. They could actually grow the bacteria in culture from his gastric secretions after they were removed from endoscopy. Now, this was the turning point in their quest for this elusive bacterium. This finally got them the acceptance they were looking for from the medical community. And this turned out to be a seminal work because the WHO eventually declared H. pylori as an organism that is known to cause cancers. So it was a defining moment in the history of medical innovation. They went on to win the Nobel Prize in 2005, and today they are commended for their extraordinary courage and daring in getting to the bottom of this story. You will agree that calculated risks are the secret recipe for extraordinary success. So like, share, and spread this amazing story. Follow us on Instagram if you want to listen to more Mendel medical mysteries. Thanks for watching.